Picture this. It's 1974, Zaire, Africa. I'm about to fight George Foreman, the hardest puncher in boxing history. Everybody said I was finished. Too old, too slow, gonna get killed in the ring. The night before the fight, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was scared of George, I was talking to God. I said, if I'm here just for me, just to prove I'm still fast, I'm gonna lose. But if I'm here because you got something bigger for me to show the world about belief, about getting up when they count you out, about faith, then I can't lose even if I get knocked down. Next morning, I woke up different, not as Muhammad Ali, the boxer, as Muhammad Ali, the servant. 4 a.m, I was ready. And when I beat George, it wasn't my power, it was knowing I was waking up on God's mission. That's what I want to give you today. That knowing. Listen, I know why you're here. You're tired of waking up and feeling like you're just going through the motions. You hit that alarm, drag yourself out of bed, and somewhere between the coffee and the commute, you wonder, is this it? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? You got dreams inside you that you haven't touched in years. You got gifts God gave you that are sitting in a box collecting dust. And every morning, you feel it, that quiet whisper that says, there's more. You were made for more. But here's what's stopping you. You don't know how to connect what you do every day with why God put you here. You wake up for your job, your bills, your responsibilities, and somewhere in all that, you lost the fire, you lost the purpose, you lost that feeling of being on a mission. Now, I'm not here to tell you to quit your job or change your whole life overnight. I'm here to tell you something simpler and more powerful. The mission doesn't start when your life is perfect. The mission starts the moment you wake up and remember who you're working for. See, when I was boxing, people thought my confidence came from my skill. It didn't. It came from knowing that every time I got in that ring, I wasn't just fighting for a belt. I was fighting to show people, especially black people, especially people who'd been told they were less than, that you can stand up, you can speak your truth. You can be unapologetically yourself and still honor God. That mission got me out of bed when training hurt. That mission kept me disciplined when everybody else was partying. That mission made me willing to sacrifice my title, my money, my freedom when the government tried to make me go against my faith. And here's what I know about you. You got a mission too. God didn't make you by accident. He gave you specific gifts, specific experiences, specific struggles, all of it pointing towards something only you can do. But if you don't wake up like it matters, if you don't start your day with that purpose in your heart, you're going to spend your whole life reacting instead of creating. You're going to spend your whole life tired instead of inspired. So, here's what we're about to do together. I'm going to show you how I trained my mind and my spirit to wake up on purpose, how I turned my morning from the hardest part of my day into the most powerful part, how I learned to pray before I planned, to submit before I strategized, to remember God before I remembered my problems, and how that one shift, waking up like I was on God's mission instead of my own mission, changed everything. The discipline came easier, the vision got clearer, the strength showed up even when I felt weak. This isn't just about becoming successful, this is about becoming useful to God. And when you wake up to serve Him, when you start your day by asking, what do you need from me today? Instead of, what do I need today? That's when your life stops being a struggle and starts being a calling. Let's go. Let me take you back to Louisville, Kentucky. I'm 12 years old. My bike got stolen, a red and white Schwinn. Brand new, my pride and joy. I was so mad I wanted to fight whoever took it. I went to the police station to report it, and there was this police officer, Joe Martin. He ran a boxing gym in the basement. He looked at me, this skinny kid, talking about beating people up, and he said, well, you better learn how to fight first. So I started training. And here's what I remember about those first mornings. I didn't want to go. It was early. It was hard. My body hurt. But Joe Martin told me something that stuck. Cassius, he said, using my old name. Champions aren't made when it's easy. Champions are made when they show up on the days they don't feel like it. I didn't understand it then, but God was teaching me something. Purpose is proven. In the mornings you don't feel like showing up. That's when you find out if you really want it or if you just like the idea of it. And every morning I showed up to that gym, I was building something deeper than muscle. I was building character. I was building the discipline that would one day help me become champion of the world. But more than that, and I didn't see this until years later, God was teaching me that I wasn't training just for me. Every punch I learned to throw, every round I learned to endure, every morning I learned to sacrifice. It was all preparing me for something bigger. See, God was getting me ready to use boxing as a platform to speak truth, to stand up for justice, to inspire people all over the world. But first, He had to teach me to wake up, to show up, to do the work even when nobody was watching. That's the first lesson. Your mornings are training you for your mission. Every time you get up when you don't feel like it, you're building the strength you'll need when God calls you to do something great. You might think you're just going to work, just going to the gym, just going through your routine, but God sees it different. He's watching you prove yourself faithful in the small things so He can trust you with the big things. Every morning you choose discipline over comfort. You're saying to God, I'm ready, I'm serious, I'm not playing games with my purpose. See, most people want the big moment. They want the championship. They want the success. They want the recognition. But they don't want the early mornings. They don't want the hard training. They don't want the sacrifice. And that's why most people never get their big moment, because they weren't willing to show up in the small moments. God was using those mornings in Joe Martin's gym to show me something about myself. He was showing me that I had something inside me, a hunger, a drive, a willingness to suffer for something I believed in. And He was building that into me one morning at a time. I didn't know it then, but I was learning how to be great before I ever became great. I was learning how to wake up with purpose before I even knew what my purpose was. And that's what your mornings are doing for you right now. Even if you don't see it yet, even if it feels like nothing's happening, every time you choose to get up, to show up, to do the work, you're building something. God's building something in you. He's preparing you. He's training you. He's getting you ready for what's coming. But learning to show up was just the beginning. I had to learn something harder. I had to learn what to do when fear showed up too. Now, let me tell you about a morning that almost destroyed everything. It was 1964, right before I fought Sonny Liston for the heavyweight championship. I was 22 years old, a 7-1 underdog. Liston was the most feared man in boxing. Criminals were scared of him. The mob was scared of him. Everybody said he was going to kill me in the ring. The morning of the fight, I woke up and I felt it fear. Not the kind of fear that makes you fight harder, the kind that makes you want to run. My hands were shaking. My heart was racing. And I had this thought, what if I just don't show up? What if I just say I'm sick and get out of this? I sat on the edge of that bed and I started praying. I said, God, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm strong enough. I don't know if I'm ready. And you know what I felt? Not courage, not some lightning bolt of confidence. What I felt was this: it's not about you. See, that's what changed everything. I realized in that moment that my mission wasn't about me being the greatest. It was about showing young Black kids that they didn't have to be afraid. It was about proving that you can stand up to bullies in the ring and in life. It was about being a voice for people who had been silenced. It was about showing the world that a young Black man who spoke his mind, who was proud of who he was, who refused to play by their rules, that he could still be champion. And when I understood that, when I realized I was waking up not for my glory, but for God's purpose, the fear didn't go away, but it got smaller because I knew I wasn't alone. I knew God was with me. I knew that win or lose, if I showed up and gave everything I had, I was fulfilling my mission. So I got up, I looked at myself in the mirror, I said some words to pump myself up, to remind myself who I was. I said, I'm young, I'm pretty, I'm fast, and I can't possibly be beat. But underneath all that bravado, underneath all that confidence, I was really saying something else to God. I trust you. I'm scared, but I trust you. And I'm going to show up because you told me to show up. I went to that fight. And I shocked the world. I beat Sonny Liston. I became heavyweight champion of the world at 22 years old. And everybody wanted to know how I did it. How did this young kid beat the most feared man in boxing? They wanted to know my strategy, my technique, my training secrets. But the real secret was what happened that morning. The real victory was getting out of bed when fear told me to stay in it. The real championship was won in that moment when I chose to trust God's purpose over my own fear. See, here's what I want you to understand. If I had stayed in that bed, if I had let fear decide my morning, I would have missed my destiny. Everything that came after the championship, the stand I took against the war, the impact I had on millions of people around the world, all of it started with one morning when I chose to get up even though I was scared. Your mornings are filled with that same choice. Fear's going to be there, doubt's going to be there, comfort's going to be calling you, your bed's going to feel so good, your excuses are going to sound so reasonable. But your mission is bigger than your fear. And God's purpose for you is more important than your temporary feelings. And let me tell you something else. God doesn't call you to do easy things. If it was easy, He wouldn't need you for it. He calls you to do hard things, scary things, things that make you depend on Him, because that's how He gets the glory. When you do something you couldn't do on your own, when you accomplish something that only makes sense because God was with you, that's when people see Him in you. So when you wake up tomorrow and you feel that fear, when you feel that doubt, when you feel like you can't do what you need to do good, that means you're about to do something worth doing. That means you're about to step into your purpose. That means God's about to use you in a way that requires faith. Get up anyway. Show up anyway. Trust God anyway. Because your mission is waiting for you on the other side of your fear. That lesson got me through the biggest fights of my life. But the hardest morning I ever faced wasn't in the ring. It was the morning after they tried to take everything from me. April 1967. I refused to go to Vietnam. I stood up and said I would not fight in a war I didn't believe in, a war that was killing people who never did anything to me. The government stripped me of my heavyweight title. They took my license to box. They took my ability to make a living. I faced 5 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. And overnight, I went from being champion of the world to being one of the most hated men in America. The morning after it all fell apart, I didn't want to get out of bed. I'm not going to lie to you. I was 25 years old. I had worked my whole life to be champion, and now it was gone. Not because I lost in the ring, but because I stood up for what I believed in. My family needed me to provide. My future was uncertain. People were threatening me. The whole country seemed to be against me. And I had to wake up knowing that I might never box again. But here's what I did that morning. I prayed, I got on my knees, and I talked to God. And I said, if this is the price I have to pay to honor you, if this is what it costs to live with integrity, then I accept it. I'd rather lose the title and keep my soul than win the title and lose my soul. And you know what happened? I felt peace. Not because my problems went away, they didn't. Not because the world suddenly supported me, they didn't. I felt peace because I knew I had woken up on God's mission, not the world's mission. I knew I was living for something bigger than a championship belt. I knew that even if they took everything from me on the outside, they couldn't touch what was inside my faith, my integrity, my relationship with God. See, that morning taught me something powerful. When you wake up for God's mission, the world can't break you. They can take your title, they can take your money, they can take your freedom, but they can't take your purpose. Because your purpose doesn't come from them, it comes from God. And what God gives you, no man can take away. For 3.5 years, I couldn't fight professionally. 3.5 years in the prime of my career. Do you know what that cost me? Millions of dollars, dozens of fights, my peak physical years. But you know what I did during those years? I kept getting up, I kept training, I kept speaking, I kept serving. I gave lectures at colleges all over the country. I talked to young people about standing up for what you believe in. I inspired them to think for themselves, to question authority, to live with conviction. I showed them that you don't have to compromise your beliefs to be successful. Sometimes your beliefs are the only thing that keep you standing when everything else falls apart. And when they finally let me box again, when the Supreme Court overturned my conviction, I came back stronger. I won the title back. I became the first man to win the heavyweight championship 3 times. But more importantly, I proved something that's more valuable than any championship. When you wake up for God's mission, when you're willing to lose everything to stay true to your purpose, God will honor that. He will see you through. He will use your struggle to create your testimony. That's the most important lesson I can teach you today. Your hardest mornings are your defining mornings. The morning when everything looks impossible, when you've lost what you thought you needed, when the world's against you, that's when your mission becomes most clear. Because on those mornings, you find out if you're really living for God or if you're just living for what God can give you. See, a lot of people serve God when things are going good. When they got money, when they got health, when they got success, they praising God, they thanking God, they telling everybody about God. But what happens when God takes something away? What happens when He asks you to sacrifice? What happens when following Him costs you something? That's when you find out what your faith is really made of. And I found out that morning. I found out that my faith was real. I found out that my mission was bigger than my comfort. I found out that I'd rather wake up broke and faithful than wake up rich and compromised. And that knowing that certainty that I was living for something that mattered, that carried me through years of hardship. So when you wake up tomorrow and your morning is hard, when you got problems you don't know how to solve, when you got losses you don't know how to handle, when you got obstacles that look impossible, remember this. God's not punishing you, He's promoting you. He's moving you from one level of faith to another. He's showing you that your mission is bigger than your circumstances. And He's preparing you to handle the blessings that are coming, because here's what I learned. The man who can handle loss can handle anything. The woman who can stand when everything's been taken from her can stand through anything. And God wants to know, can you handle it? Can you wake up when it's hard? Can you keep going when you can't see the way? Can you trust me when nothing makes sense? Those 3 stories taught me something about mornings, about purpose, about faith. And now I want to break down for you the deeper lessons, the principles that will help you wake up on God's mission every single day. Here's the first thing you need to understand. The moment you open your eyes, that moment belongs to God. Not your phone, not your to-do list, not your worries, to God. Most people wake up and immediately start thinking about what they need to do, what problems they need to solve, what people they need to respond to. And before they even get out of bed, their mind is already running in 10 different directions. That's not waking up, that's anxiety with eyes open. When I was training, the first thing I did every morning was pray. Before I thought about my opponent, before I thought about my training schedule, before I thought about anything else, I talked to God. I said, thank you for waking me up. Thank you for giving me another day. Show me what you want me to do with this day. Give me the strength to do it with excellence. That simple prayer changed everything. Because when you start your morning by acknowledging God, you're reminding yourself of something crucial. This day is not about you. This day is about serving the one who gave you this day. See, when you wake up thinking it's all about you, the pressure is crushing. You got to figure everything out. You got to be strong enough. You got to be smart enough. You got to have all the answers. But when you wake up knowing it's about God, the pressure shifts. Now you're just asking, God, what do you need me to do? How do you want to use me? And suddenly, you're not carrying the weight alone anymore. The Quran says that God is closer to us than our own jugular vein. Think about that. He's right there every morning, right there with you, waiting for you to acknowledge Him, waiting for you to invite him into your day. And when you do that, when you make your morning a prayer before it becomes a plan, everything else falls into place. This doesn't mean your day will be easy. It means your day will have meaning. It means when you face obstacles, you'll face them knowing you're not alone. It means when you succeed, you'll know who to thank. It means when you fail, you'll know who to run back to. And here's something beautiful. When you give God your morning, He gives you the strength for your day. When you give Him your first thoughts, He gives you wisdom for your decisions. When you give Him your first words, He gives you the right words to speak later. It's an exchange. You give Him what's most precious, your time, your attention, your focus, and He gives you what you need most, His presence, His guidance, His peace. So here's your first practice. Before you check your phone, before you think about work, before you do anything else, talk to God. It can be one sentence. God, this day is yours. Use me. That's it. 3 seconds. But watch what happens when you start every morning by remembering who you're working for. Your perspective changes. Your problems get smaller. Your purpose gets clearer because you're not starting your day from a place of lack. What do I need? What am I worried about? What's wrong? You're starting from a place of surrender. What do you need? Where do you want me? How can I serve? And that shift, that simple shift from me to you, from my will to your will, that's what transforms a regular morning into a sacred morning. That's what transforms waking up into worship. Now, let me tell you about discipline. People think discipline is about punishing yourself, about forcing yourself to do things you hate. That's not discipline, that's torture. Real discipline is worship. Let me explain. When I was running those early morning miles, when I was in the gym training while everybody else was sleeping, I wasn't just building my body, I was honoring God with my effort. I was saying, God, you gave me this body, these abilities, this opportunity. I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to develop what you gave me to the highest level I can. See, everything God created has a purpose. The sun has a purpose. It gives light. It gives life. It marks the days. Trees have a purpose. They give us oxygen. They give us shade. They give us fruit. Animals have a purpose. They maintain balance in nature. They serve the ecosystem God designed. You have a purpose. And when you discipline yourself to become the best version of what God created you to be, that's worship. That's you saying, thank you, God, for making me. I'm going to honor you by not wasting what you gave me. Most people separate their spiritual life from their daily life. They pray on Sundays or Fridays or Saturdays, and then the rest of the week they're just surviving. They think spirituality is what happens in the mosque or the church or the temple, but that's not how it works. Your entire life is worship. The way you treat your body is worship. The way you use your mind is worship. The way you spend your time is worship. The way you treat other people is worship. So when you wake up early to work on your goals, you're not just being disciplined, you're worshiping God with your discipline. When you eat right, when you exercise, when you study, when you practice your craft, all of that is saying, God, I respect what you gave me too much to abuse it or neglect it. I used to run before the sun came up. Miles and miles in the dark, cold mornings, hot mornings, didn't matter. I ran. And people would say, Ali, why do you work so hard? You're already the greatest. But I wasn't running to prove I was the greatest. I was running to honor the gift God gave me. He gave me speed. He gave me stamina. He gave me a body that could do incredible things. And I was saying, thank you, God. I'm not going to waste this. I'm going to push it. I'm going to develop it. I'm going to make you proud of what you made. And here's what happens when you understand discipline is worship. It stops being a burden and starts being a privilege. You stop saying, I have to wake up early. And you start saying, I get to wake up early. I get another chance to honor God with my effort. I get another opportunity to become who He created me to be. See, When discipline is just about you, it's exhausting. But when discipline is about God, it's energizing. When you're working out just to look good, you might make it a few weeks. But when you're working out because your body is a temple and you want to honor God with how you treat His temple, now you got a reason that lasts. When you're studying just to make money, you might get through. But when you're studying because God gave you a mind and you want to develop it to its fullest potential so you can serve better, now you got a motivation that goes deeper than any paycheck. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that God loves when we do our work with excellence. Not just religious work, all work. If you're a teacher, teach with excellence. If you're a carpenter, build with excellence. If you're a parent, parent with excellence. Whatever God called you to do it so well that it becomes an act of worship. That's what changes your morning. You're not just getting up to go through your routine, you're getting up to worship God with your discipline. You're getting up to honor Him with your effort. You're getting up to show Him that what He gave you matters to you. And that's a mission worth waking up for. And let me tell you something. God sees that. When you're disciplining yourself when nobody else is watching, when you're doing the work when nobody's cheering, when you're honoring Him in the small things, He sees that, and He rewards that. Not always in the way you expect, not always on your timeline, but He rewards faithfulness. He rewards obedience. He rewards people who take what He gave them and multiply it. So stop looking at discipline as something hard you have to do. Start looking at it as something sacred you get to do. You get to honor God with your morning. You get to worship Him with your work. You get to show Him that you're serious about the purpose He gave you. That's a privilege. That's a blessing. And when you see it that way, getting up early stops being a sacrifice and starts being a celebration. Now let me tell you something that took me years to understand. God doesn't give you easy mornings when He's preparing you for an important mission. He gives you hard mornings, mornings that test you, mornings that make you want to quit, because those mornings are building the strength you're going to need. When I was training for my fights, I would run until I couldn't run anymore, and then I would run some more. Why? Because I knew that in the ring there was going to come a moment when I was exhausted, when my legs were burning, when my lungs were screaming, when everything in me wanted to quit. And in that moment, if I hadn't trained myself to keep going when I was tired, I would lose. The real conditioning began when the pain set in. That was when it was time to start pushing. That was when I would count every mile as extra strength and stamina. See, anybody can run when they feel good. Anybody can work when they're rested. Anybody can be disciplined when it's easy. But what can you do when you're exhausted? What can you do when you're hurting? What can you do when every part of you is screaming to stop? That's what separates champions from everybody else. And life works the same way. God's not making your mornings hard to punish you. He's making your mornings hard to prepare you. Every time you get up when you don't feel like it, you're building resilience. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you're building character. Every time you push through when it's difficult, you're building the strength you'll need for your mission. See, God knows something about you that you might not know yet. He knows what He's preparing you for. He knows the battles you're going to face. He knows the opportunities that are coming. He knows the lives you're going to impact. And He's using these hard mornings to get you ready. The Bible says, God will not put more on you than you can bear. But let me add something to that. God will put exactly as much on you as you can bear. Because that's how He grows you. He stretches you. He challenges you. He pushes you to the edge of your capacity. And then He shows you that with Him, your capacity is greater than you thought. Think about it like this. If you want to build muscle, what do? You lift weights that are heavy enough to challenge you. If the weight's too light, you don't grow. If the weight's too heavy, you get injured. But when the weight is right at the edge of what you can handle, that's when you grow. That's when you get stronger. God's doing the same thing with your mornings. He's giving you challenges that are right at the edge of what you can handle. Not to break you, to build you. Not to defeat you, to develop you. Not to crush you. To create the champion version of you. I'm grateful for every hard morning I had. I'm grateful for the mornings I had to run in the rain. I'm grateful for the mornings my body was sore and I still had to train. I'm grateful for the mornings I was stripped of my title and I still had to get up and fight for justice. I'm grateful for the mornings when Parkinson's made my body feel like it wasn't mine and I still had to keep going. Because all of those hard mornings taught me something. I'm stronger than my circumstances, and with God, I'm stronger than anything the world can throw at me. So when you wake up and your morning is hard, when you got problems you don't know how to solve, when you got pain you don't know how to handle, when you got obstacles that look impossible, don't ask God to make it easier. Ask God to make you stronger. Because He's using that struggle to prepare you for something greater. He's building endurance in you. He's building faith in you. He's building the kind of strength that can only come through struggle. And one day, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next week, but one day you're going to face something that requires everything you've been building in these hard mornings. And you're going to look back and say, thank God He didn't make it easy. Thank God He prepared me. Now, let me tell you the difference between motivation and purpose, because this is crucial. Motivation is temporary. It's based on feelings. One day you feel motivated, you get up and do great things. Next day you don't feel motivated, you stay in bed. Motivation is like the weather, it changes. Purpose is permanent. Purpose is not about how you feel, purpose is about why you exist. And when you know your why, when you know that God put you here for a reason, you get up whether you feel like it or not. Because the mission doesn't care about your mood. I've seen so many people try to live on motivation. They watch a video, they get pumped up, they start strong, but 2 weeks later, they're back where they started. You know why? Because they were running on motivation, not purpose. And motivation runs out. It's fuel that burns fast. It gets you excited, but it doesn't get you through. But when you wake up knowing that God has a mission for your life, when you wake up knowing that there are people you're meant to help, problems you're meant to solve, gifts you're meant to share, that gives you energy that motivation could never give you, because now it's not about you feeling good, it's about you being obedient to what God called you to do. Here's what I discovered. The days I felt the least motivated were often the days I made the biggest impact. Because I got up anyway. I trained anyway. I spoke anyway. I served anyway. Not because I felt like it, but because I knew my mission was bigger than my feelings. There were mornings I woke up and my body hurt, mornings I felt tired, mornings I didn't want to face the cameras, didn't want to face the critics, didn't want to deal with the pressure, but I got up. Because somewhere out there, a young black kid was watching me. Somewhere out there, someone who was afraid to stand up for what they believed in was watching me. Somewhere out there, someone who felt like giving up needed to see me keep going. That wasn't motivation, that was purpose. Motivation would have let me sleep in. Purpose got me up. And here's the beautiful part. When you start living on purpose instead of motivation, energy starts showing up in ways you can't explain. You're tired, but you keep going, and suddenly you catch a second wind. You're discouraged, but you keep serving, and suddenly you feel joy. You're overwhelmed, but you keep trusting God, and suddenly you have peace. That's not motivation, that's divine energy. That's God strengthening you for His mission. Science can't explain it. Your circumstances don't justify it. But when you're walking in your purpose, when you're doing what God called you to do, He gives you supernatural strength. He gives you energy you didn't have. He gives you endurance you can't explain. I've been in fights where I should have been knocked out. My body was exhausted. My legs were gone. I'd taken punches that would have dropped most men. But something inside me kept saying, get up. Keep fighting. This isn't just about you. And I kept going. That wasn't motivation. That wasn't even my natural strength. That was God giving me what I needed because I was on His mission. So stop waiting to feel motivated. Stop waiting until you're ready. Stop waiting until circumstances are perfect. Just wake up and ask, God, what's my mission today? And then do it. Even if you're tired, even if you're scared, even if you don't feel like it. Because purpose will carry you when motivation fails you every single time. And let me tell you one more thing about this. When you're living on motivation, you need constant input. You need the video, the song, the speech, the pump up, the encouragement. And there's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we need that boost, but when you're living on purpose, you carry your own fire. You wake up burning because God lit something in you that circumstances can't put out. Purpose is internal. It's between you and God. It doesn't depend on whether people cheer for you or criticize you. It doesn't depend on whether you're winning or losing. It doesn't depend on whether things are going good or going bad. It depends on whether you remember why God put you here. And when you remember that every morning when you wake up and reconnect with your purpose, you don't need the world to motivate you. You're already motivated by something deeper. Now, here's the secret that changed my whole life. The moment I stopped waking up for myself and started waking up for others, I became unstoppable. Let me explain. When I was young, I woke up because I wanted to be the greatest. I wanted the fame, the money, the respect, and that worked for a while. It got me motivated. It got me training. It got me the championship. But then something shifted. I realized that being great for myself wasn't enough. It was empty. I had the belt, I had the money, I had people screaming my name, but something was missing. I needed something bigger. So I started asking different questions. Instead of how can I be the greatest, I started asking, how can I serve? How can I help? How can I use my platform to make people's lives better? And when that shift happened, everything changed. Now I wasn't just training to win fights. I was training to give hope to people who had lost hope. I wasn't just speaking up for myself. I was speaking up for people who couldn't speak for themselves. I wasn't just living my life. I was living for a purpose bigger than my life. See, when you wake up for yourself, your problems feel massive. Your challenges feel overwhelming. Your obstacles feel impossible because it's all on you. But when you wake up for others, when you wake up knowing that your discipline, your dedication, your success is going to inspire someone else to keep going, suddenly your problems get smaller because now you got a reason to push through them. I've seen people stuck for years wake up and transform their lives in months when they found something bigger than themselves to live for. It's not magic, it's purpose. When you know you're waking up to serve, when you know your breakthrough is going to create a path for somebody else's breakthrough, when you know your story is going to give somebody else hope, that's when you become unstoppable. Because now quitting's not an option, giving up's not an option, staying in bed's not an option. Why? Because it's not just about you anymore. There's somebody watching you. There's somebody depending on you. There's somebody who needs to see you make it so they can believe they can make it too. God didn't create you just for you. He created you to be a blessing. He gave you gifts not just to make your life better, but to make other people's lives better. And when you start waking up with that in mind, when you start asking every morning, who can I help today? Who can I serve today? Who can I encourage today? That's when your life starts meaning something beyond your own success. Let me tell you about the letters I used to get. People would write to me from all over the world. People who were sick, people who were struggling, people who were facing discrimination, people who wanted to give up, and they'd say, seeing you stand up gave me courage to stand up. Seeing you keep fighting gave me strength to keep fighting. Seeing you refuse to quit helped me refuse to quit. And you know what those letters did? They got me out of bed on mornings I didn't want to get up. They got me back in the gym when I wanted to rest. They reminded me that my mission wasn't just about me, it was about every person who needed to see an example of someone who wouldn't back down. That's what I'm giving you today, that same understanding. You're not waking up just for you, you're waking up for your kids who are watching you. You're waking up for your community that needs you. You're waking up for the next generation that's going to follow the path you're creating. You're waking up for God, who's trusting you with a mission. And here's what I want you to know. Someone is watching you. Someone needs to see you make it. Someone needs to see you push through. Someone needs to see you stay faithful when it's hard. You might not know who they are. They might never tell you. But your life is a testimony. And the way you handle your mornings, the way you show up when you don't feel like it, the way you keep going when others quit, that's preaching a sermon louder than any words. So here's my challenge to you. Stop making your morning about what you need and start making it about what others need from you. Stop waking up asking, what can I get today? And start waking up asking, what can I give today? Because the moment you shift from selfishness to service, you'll find a strength and a purpose you never knew you had. Now, those are the lessons, but lessons don't change your life unless you put them into practice. So let me give you exactly what you need to do starting tomorrow morning. Here's what I want you to do starting tomorrow. The moment you wake up, before you check your phone, before you think about your problems, before you do anything else, you're going to do this. Sit up in your bed, close your eyes, take 3 deep breaths, and then you're going to talk to God. You don't need fancy words. You don't need to be perfect. Just talk to him like you'd talk to someone you love and trust. Say this: God, thank you for this day. This day belongs to you. Show me what you want me to do. Give me the strength to do it with excellence. Help me to serve others. Help me to honor you in everything I do. That's it. 30 seconds. But watch what happens when you start your day by acknowledging God before you acknowledge anything else. Your whole mindset shifts. You're not waking up in panic, you're waking up in purpose. You're not waking up in worry, you're waking up in worship. You're not waking up asking what's wrong. You're waking up asking, what's my mission? Then, before you get out of bed, I want you to think of one thing you're grateful for. Just one. Maybe it's your health. Maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your home. Maybe it's just the fact that you woke up breathing, that your heart's still beating, that God gave you another chance. Say thank you for that one thing. Gratitude first thing in the morning sets the tone for everything else. Because when you start the day thankful, you can't stay negative. When you start the day recognizing what God's already blessed you with, you start the day with hope instead of worry. You start the day with abundance instead of scarcity. You start the day with faith instead of fear. 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. 5 minutes to remember who you're working for and what you already have. And I promise you, if you do this every single morning for 30 days, your entire life will start to change. Not because the circumstances changed, because you changed, your perspective changed, your heart changed. And when your heart changes, everything changes. Second practice, move your body. I don't care if it's running, walking, stretching, push-ups, do something physical every morning. You know why? Because your body is a gift from God, and the way you treat it is a form of worship. When I was training, I wasn't just building muscles for the ring. I was honoring God by taking care of what He gave me. He gave you a body that can move, that can work, that can serve. Don't waste it. Don't neglect it. Don't disrespect it by treating it like it doesn't matter. Use it. Here's what I want you to do. After you pray, get up and move for at least 15 minutes. If you can, run, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, stretch. If you can't stretch, move your arms, move your legs, do something that says, God, thank you for this body. I'm not going to be lazy with what you gave me. And while you're moving, I want you to think about your mission. Think about what God called you to do. Think about the people you're meant to serve. Think about the impact you're meant to have. Let your body wake up while your mind is connecting to your purpose. This does 2 things. First, it builds discipline. You're proving to yourself that you can do hard things even when you don't feel like it. You're showing yourself that you're in control of your body, not the other way around. You're training your will to be stronger than your feelings. Second, it gives you energy. Physical movement creates mental clarity. When you move your body, your blood flows, your brain wakes up, your creativity sparks. Ideas come, solutions appear. Energy shows up. Problems that seemed impossible the night before suddenly don't look so bad after you've moved your body. And there's something spiritual about it too. When you move your body in the morning, you're activating what God put in you. You're not sitting there passive, waiting for life to happen to you. You're taking action. You're stepping into your day with power. You're saying, I'm ready. I'm awake. I'm alive. Let's go. Don't skip this. Don't tell yourself you'll do it later. Don't make excuses. Do it in the morning, because the morning is when you set the tone for your entire day. And when you start your day by moving, you're telling yourself, I'm not lazy. I'm not comfortable. I'm not going to waste this day. I'm on a mission. Third practice, feed your mind with truth before the world feeds you lies. Most people wake up and immediately check their phone. They check the news, they check social media, they check their messages. And before they even get out of bed, their mind is filled with other people's problems, other people's opinions, other people's negativity. Don't do that. Protect your mind in the morning. Because whatever you put in your mind first thing in the morning is going to set the tone for how you think all day. Here's what I did. I read. I studied. I fed my mind with things that made me stronger, wiser, better. I read the Quran. I read about other fighters. I read about history, about people who stood up for what they believed in, about people who overcame impossible odds. I filled my mind with truth, with wisdom, with inspiration. You need to do the same. Spend at least 10 minutes every morning reading something that's going to build you up. Maybe it's scripture. Maybe it's a book about your field. Maybe it's biographies of people who did what you're trying to do. Maybe it's something about faith, about purpose, about overcoming obstacles. I don't care what it is, just make sure it's feeding your mind with something valuable, something that's going to make you better. Because here's the truth. Your mind is a garden, and you're the gardener. If you plant good seeds, truth, wisdom, faith, inspiration, you're going to grow good fruit. But if you let weeds grow, negativity, fear, doubt, lies, that's what you're going to harvest. And you can't harvest apples if you planted weeds. So protect your mind. Guard what goes in there, especially in the morning. Don't let the world tell you what to think before you've reminded yourself what God says about you. Don't let social media tell you what to feel before you've connected with your purpose. Don't let the news fill you with fear before you've filled yourself with faith. Feed your mind first. Fill it with truth. Fill it with wisdom. Fill it with things that align with your mission, and then face the world from a position of strength instead of weakness. Face the world with your mind already made up about who you are and what you're here to do. Fourth practice. Before you start your day, take 5 minutes to plan it around your mission. Not around your mood, not around what you feel like doing, around what God called you to do. Here's what I did every morning. I looked at my training schedule and I asked myself, what's the most important thing I need to do today to get closer to my goal? And then I did that thing first. I didn't wait until I felt like it. I didn't save it for later when I had more time or more energy. I did the hardest, most important thing first thing in the morning while I still had fresh energy, fresh focus, fresh determination. You need to do the same. Look at your day and ask, what's the one thing, if I do nothing else today, that will move me closer to my purpose? Write it down, circle it, highlight it, and then do it before you do anything else. Most people spend their whole day reacting. They respond to emails, they handle other people's emergencies, they put out fires, and by the end of the day, they haven't done anything that actually matters to their mission. They were busy, but they weren't productive. They were working, but they weren't progressing. Take control of your morning, and you take control of your day. Decide what's important before the world decides for you. Because if you don't plan your day around your mission, other people will plan your day around theirs. And before you know it, you've spent your whole life building someone else's dream instead of the one God gave you. And here's the key. You're not planning around what's easy. You're planning around what's important. You're asking God, what do you need me to do today? And then you're structuring your day around that answer. That's how you live with intention. That's how you live on purpose. That's how you wake up on God's mission instead of the world's distractions. Those 4 practices, pray first, move your body, feed your mind, plan your mission, those 4 things will transform your mornings. And when you transform your mornings, you transform your life. It's that simple. It's not complicated. It's just discipline. It's just showing up. It's just making the decision every single day that your mission matters more than your comfort. Now let me bring this home. Listen, I don't know what you're facing right now. I don't know what's making it hard for you to get out of bed. I don't know what battles you're fighting, what pain you're carrying, what mountains you're trying to climb, but I know this. God didn't wake you up today by accident. He woke you up because He's got something for you to do, something only you can do. Maybe your mission is to be the parent your kids need. Maybe it's to build the business that's going to provide for your family and give jobs to people in your community. Maybe it's to get your degree so you can be the first in your family to graduate college. Maybe it's to overcome your addiction and show other people that freedom is possible. Maybe it's to heal from your past so you can help other people heal from theirs. Maybe it's to love people who are hard to love, to forgive people who hurt you, to stand up when everybody else sits down. Maybe it's to speak up when everybody else is silent. Maybe it's just to keep going when everything in you wants to quit. I don't know what your mission is, but God does. And He's waiting for you to wake up and ask Him. He's waiting for you to stop living on autopilot and start living with purpose. He's waiting for you to remember that you weren't put here just to exist. You were put here to make a difference. So here's what I need you to do. Tomorrow morning, when that alarm goes off, don't hit snooze. Don't roll over. Don't waste another day. Get up, talk to God, move your body, feed your mind, plan your mission, and then go out there and live like you're on assignment from the Most High. Because you're not here by accident, you're here on purpose. And every morning you wake up is another chance to honor that purpose, another chance to serve, another chance to grow, another chance to become who God created you to be. I conquered the world, and it didn't bring me happiness. The titles didn't do it, the money didn't do it, the fame didn't do it, but living for God's mission, waking up every day knowing I was serving something bigger than myself, that brought me peace. That brought me purpose. That brought me joy even in my hardest moments. And that's what I want for you. So wake up tomorrow like you're on God's mission, because you are. The world needs what God put in you. The people in your life need what God put in you. And most importantly, God needs you to be faithful to what He called you to do. Don't let another day go by where you wake up without purpose. Don't let another morning slip away where you hit snooze on your destiny. Don't wait until you feel ready. Don't wait until circumstances are perfect. Don't wait until you have it all figured out. Just wake up, show up, and trust that God's going to meet you there. Now, if this resonated with you, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, because I got more to share with you about faith, about purpose, about overcoming obstacles, about living with courage. This is just the beginning of what God wants to teach you through my story. And if you got something out of this today, hit that like button. Let me know this helped you, because when you do that, it helps this message reach more people who need to hear it. It helps other people who are struggling to wake up with purpose. It helps other people who are looking for their mission. You're not just liking a video, you're helping spread hope. And finally, drop a comment and tell me, what's one thing you're going to do differently tomorrow morning? What's one practice you're going to start? What's one change you're going to make? Because when you write it down, when you declare it, you make yourself accountable. And I want to see you win. I want to see you wake up on God's mission. I want to see you step into your purpose. Remember, God didn't bring you this far to leave you. Keep going, keep getting up, keep fighting for your mission, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.